Well, on another episode of I Told You So, isn't it interesting that there has now been a spike in people buying their own chickens to have at home? It's almost as if some of us suggested this a while ago, right? When people started to complain about the price of eggs. And how many times did I even tell you people how much it costs that you can buy yourself, you can build a chicken coop for one, but how you can buy yourself a chicken coop on Amazon? Even. You could be doing this. This is what I've been saying. But as per freaking usual, in the gift that keeps on giving, that is the sheeple, once again, as a society, we had to get pushed back into the corner to then do something at the last minute before we change, because we don't listen to warnings and we don't listen to people because they're conspiracy theorists. Maybe some of us were thinking, let's get ahead so that we don't have to do things at the last minute, so that we're not panicking. But no, that's not what we wanted to do, is it? Oh no, it's not. Instead, we wanted to wait until our comfortability became too uncomfortable, and then we had to just deal with the situation regardless. We had to be forced to deal with it at the last minute. And now, just because you can no longer sustain your current way of living, now you have to change. And this is exactly what I told you guys would happen. I told you so. Not only that, you've actually removed a whole section of time you could have been using preparing further. This is why I can't stand society, you guys. I want to be so clear when I say this. I cannot stand society whatsoever. This is what I'm saying. We live such comfortable lives. This is a Western issue, I feel and I fear, because we live such comfortable lives and we've become so comfortable living with just enough. And just enough to pay your bills, just enough to do a couple of extra things outside of that make your life just enough good enough to be grateful for, and just enough comfortable enough to not change anything, because it would be just a bit too much more uncomfortable to do something different than the comfortability that you currently have in your current situation. And I've told you guys, this is always a losing mentality. This is always the failure of losers in life, is you get too comfortable in your situation. That is a weakness. And here we are. Would you believe it? That as issues were coming with eggs, all of a sudden now people want to buy their own chickens. And you know what's going to be great about this is that there's going to be such an influx, which shout out to the farmers, happy for them. But then there's also going to be another problem, because again, the lower class people are going to be worse off, because if chickens now become more expensive because everybody's all of a sudden doing it overnight because we couldn't wake up sooner, right? If everybody starts doing that all overnight, then the price of the chickens is going to hype up because they're going to be more expensive. Therefore, the average person won't actually be able to afford them. So now we're not only not able to afford what's in the supermarket, also not able to afford what's not from the supermarket, which again, it just only shoots you in the foot while you sat there in your comfortability. Go freaking figure, because guess what? You can't just make things out of nothing. Chickens need time to grow. They're only going to lay an egg a day anyway, per chicken, about approximately. Because it's been an industry that people haven't been doing, because we've been relying on other governments, departments for this, supermarkets for that, whatever else the heck you trust in, right? It's not like these suppliers have all been having all these huge stocks, because these things are few and far between these days, because we now rely on everybody to do stuff for us, and then we use our hard-earned money to pay these hiked prices for genetically modified foods that are FDA approved. And so if there is a huge influx, the only people, once again, who are really going to be affected is the average person who would sit here and listen to my videos and think I sound crazy, or who would sit here and listen to my videos and say I sound like a conspiracy theorist or whatever. Maybe, just maybe, some of us want to see you win. Maybe, just maybe, some of us are ringing the alarm bells so you can wake the freak up and prepare yourself in due time. Maybe, just maybe when you're praying to the Lord and when you're looking for signs of what to do, maybe the Lord sends people like me. Maybe, just maybe, to prepare you for things. So that when things hit the fan, you can't turn around and go, oh God, where were you? How did we get here? That's why people like I exist. That's why I'm taking advantage of saying I told you so. Not because I'm happy to be right, but because I am, it literally breaks my heart every single freaking day that I wake up and people are still asleep. Because I'm like, the problem in your thinking, and this is a proper losing mentality. The problem in your thinking is you assume that you can put your trust in the things you put your trust in, that tomorrow things are going to be the same as today. You don't have to go outside of the norm. You don't have to think about being more self-sustaining or more independent, because you assume that there's no way the prices are ever going to get too much. There's no way this is going to happen. Of course, the government has your best interest at heart. All these assumptions that we make. You assume. Well done, buddy. And then with people like me, oh, you just want to have something else to say. You just like to be alternative. It's always all these things that apparently I just want to do. I just want to be different. The heck, of course I do. I do want to be different, because if being normal in the world sense is trusting in corporations that only benefit more from taking advantage of me than anything else, who have no real reason to do the right thing whatsoever, and putting all my trust in them, yeah, I don't want to be considered normal. In that case, I do want to be different. You know what? Maybe the thought of growing my own chickens, that I can see what I fed them, that I have in my own garden and all those kinds of things, maybe, just maybe, I trust that process more than I do whatever the heck could be going on behind the scenes. You know what strange, crazy thing I found out about, and it really creeped me out. I'm so glad I remembered it right now, because this I found out about just before Thanksgiving or Christmas, between that area, about how there was a whole scandal with this. This is disgusting. I'm just going to say, guys, trigger warning. Do you know that trigger warnings have been proven to make no difference whatsoever scientifically? But I discovered that, I can't remember what it was called, but there was like a whole farm or whatever that was found, that the workers were literally having sex with the turkeys. This was right around Christmas and Thanksgiving. And again, I'm like, okay, so I suggest, hey, put aside a small amount of money, 1 month, build yourself a chicken coop, right? Have your own chickens. There's a lot of benefits to having your own chickens, so many of them, right? Not to mention that if you're a parent, it's a great skill for your children to learn. I say that as a person who is a teacher. And also, my family lived in Africa for a couple of years, we used to buy and sell chickens. Well, not buy and sell chickens. We used to get chickens in from when they were eggs. Like, we'd get 100 eggs, and then we would incubate them, and then they would grow into chickens, and it was like really a whole thing. And we kind of had a little side hustle going on with these chickens, and it actually taught me a lot as a kid. I was very young at the time. We only lived there from when I was like 6 until just before I was 8, but I learned a lot. But at least I hope ain't nobody there was having sex with my chickens, because that's what was going on in some of these big corporations that y'all be trusting in. Or y'all think people like me sound crazy for suggesting that maybe you can just do something to be more self-reliant. I say, why don't you grow some herbs on your windowsill? Why don't you grow one vegetable, and then why don't your next door neighbors grow another vegetable, and then why don't your next door neighbors grow a fruit, and then why don't your other next door neighbors, and then why don't you all swap? Because then all of a sudden you're not thinking, how much are my groceries costing me? Because you have stuff to give. I was thinking about this with my next door neighbor, right? They have an apple tree, and this apple tree falls over the fence into this garden here, right? And it only occurred to me, like literally yesterday, I thought about it more as I was thinking about all these topics, right? I was thinking about the fact that they have got such a lost opportunity with this tree, because I've seen this tree for years, grows a lot of apples, and a lot of those apples, like I said, they fall down. So if they even just did that. Also, actually, and ironically, 2 of my sets of neighbors, one has now moved, but I do actually have neighbors who have chickens as well. There's so much they could do with that. Like, in a day and age where people are like looking for other ways, more sustainable things to do, trying to be more planet friendly, etc. There's so much they could be doing with those apples. They could be selling them literally to the neighbors. I've had some of those apples. They're good apples. You know what I'm saying? Sell them just a little bit cheaper than the ones that get sold in the supermarket. Boom, making a profit. Make yourself a jam. Make some desserts, some pastries, right? Whatever. And I'm not saying they have to do all those things, but they could, right? What's happening with those apples right now? Most of them are on the floor rotting, doing absolutely diddly squat. And it would be the same people with opportunities like this in the very own back garden, in their backyard, who will then be complaining about the price of eggs. This is why I kept doubling down about the price of eggs. I was like, you're complaining about the price of eggs. If you took all the money you spent on eggs in the entirety of the time you were complaining about the price of eggs, probably could have bought a chicken coop and the chickens for the chicken coop. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So maybe, just maybe, some of us, when we say that if life's a game, when I say to you guys at the end of my videos that I love you guys, maybe I actually do. Maybe I actually want to see you thrive. Maybe I actually want to see you win. Maybe I'm actually frustrated with watching people put all their dependency and their trust and everything into these corporations that, again, have no reason whatsoever to be doing the right thing, because it only benefits them to do the wrong thing. You think that the people who make all these foods that you eat in the supermarkets not the same old people that also are bestie buddies with the people in the pharmaceutical industry who are going to go and prescribe you this drug and that drug and the other? It's funny. Like, these topics to me are extra funny because I just think, and I'm going to talk about that in a separate video, about hygiene. Because I just think that it's funny how we've become this whole hygiene-forward, hygiene-focused society, but we're sicker than ever. We'll talk about that in another video. I've said enough. If life's a game, it's pay to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.